Hello everyone. So now we need to remember BGP active and passive, because sometime in interview they are asking what is BGP active, what is BGP passive. So this is also very important question we need to remember. In many interviews this question asked for my old students. So this is important part. Only 2-3 question will come from here. They will ask you BGP active, what is BGP active, what is the port number of the BGP active, what is the BGP passive, what is the port number of the BGP passive. So we need to remember, when we have the BGP passive, the port number will be TCP, port number is 179. If we are having BGP active, then we will have the high random port we are going to get, that is 1023. So here what we need to remember, in the BGP also we have active and passive. When we have the BGP passive, we are going to get the TCP port number 179. If we are having BGP active, then we are going to get the highest random port, that is 1023. And we need to remember, active is called client, BGP active is called client, and BGP passive is called server. So if anyone asks you what is BGP active, you need to say BGP active is a client and it is going to get the highest random port number. Okay, and if asks you what is BGP passive, you need to say BGP passive is a server and it is having the TCP port number 179. Example, we have one scenario. What we will say, if you have one router here, okay, that is ISP router or any router, you have other side is a firewall, or imagine this is your branch office, here is the head office. So you have the connectivity from the ISP, give you the connectivity, you have the firewall here. So in the firewall they block the all ports, they allow only 179 port, because BGP is working, it is using the port number 179. So this port will be allowed. But here if the port is not 179, if you are getting any high random port, this is higher random port, if you get here, then that port is going to block by the firewall. So what we need to do, we need to configure here that always this port should be passive, that is BGP server. So this port always get the port number 179. So how we can configure, we are going to see that one. If we configure normally, one time we will have the active here. If we reset the BGP pair, it will become passive. Again if we reset, it will become active. Again we will reset, it will become passive. So port number is going to change. So if the port number is changed, you will have the issue. If port number 179 changed to any random port number, then that port is going to block to the firewall. So we need to keep here like always same port number. So even someone reset the BGP, the same port number will come here. So we are going to see here. Let me explain here. Imagine this is the two router. This is a two router. I have AS1 here, AS2, and this is the IP we are going to use. And same thing, this one we already know. This way we can assign the IP address. This way we can assign the IP address in the R1 and R2. This we learn from the CCNA level. How we can configure the host name and IP address, we already learned. The new thing is BGP configuration. So this is the router BGP1, neighbor IP, remote and remote AS. Here we have two. So we configure. This is our configuration. Same thing here, what we will do, we will write router BGP, our AS is 2 and neighbor is this IP. After that we will write remote AS, the neighbor AS. So this is the configuration we done. After that when we write show IP BGP neighbor and the session include host, when we run this command, we are going to get here local host is 192.168.12.1 and the local port number is 179. Here we are getting 179, and the origin host is this one. This is a local host, this is a origin host, and whoever is getting the origin host, he is going to get the random port. So this way we get. But if we do reset BGP, example here, what I done, I will reset. If this is screenshot for R1, when we check in the R1 is saying R1 is a local and this is a port number. When we check in the R2 is saying R1 is not a R1 is a local, but his port number is 36145. And the R1, this is a R1 is having the origin host and his port number is 179. This we are getting. But after when we clear the BGP, R1 is going to become active and R2 is going to become passive. Whoever is becoming the passive, he is going to get the port number 179. Already we learn here. Let me show you here. Whoever is going to become the passive, he is going to get the port number 179. Whoever is going to become the active, he is going to get the random port number. Okay, so now first time how they will get by default. First time when we configure, if we did not reset, first time when we configure, what they will check? They will check whoever is having the low router ID, that guy is going to become as a passive. Whoever is having low router ID. If you see here, this guy is having low router ID because he is going to check the IP. We don't have the loopback. We don't have the loopback here. So what he will do? He will check the physical IP. We have only one physical interface, so he is going to take that IP as a router ID. So this guy will have the 192.168.12.1. This guy will have 192.168.12.2. So when they compare, this guy is having low router ID, this R1. So R1 is going to become as a passive. Passive, when he become, he is going to get the port number 179. And the R2 become as a active, and active is going to become the port highest random port. But when we do the clear IP BGP star, when we reset the BGP, what issue we will have? Active is going to become passive, passive is going to become active. Okay. So I clear here. After that I wrote show IP BGP neighbor include host. So if you see 192.168.12.1, now he become active because he is having the random port. And if you see 192.168.12.2, this guy become as a passive and he is having 179 port number. When we check in the R2 also, same thing. In R2 we will write the clear IP BGP and we check. So R2 become here. So in simple, what we are saying, when we do the clear IP BGP star, it is going to change active to passive, passive to active. So how we can fix? In some scenario, our what we can say, let me draw here. In some case, just now as I told, we will have firewall here and we will have one router here. And we told here configure the, we are running here BGP. So what we will say to the security engineer, can you allow the port number 179? Okay, we will ask the security engineer, he will allow the port number 179 in the firewall. But when we clear this, when we run the command clear IP BGP star, he is going to reset the BGP. So this port will change. You will have the random port. That port is not allowed here. So your connectivity go down. So for that purpose, what we will do, we will configure here a special configuration. So this guy always become as a passive and you will have always this port number 179. So now we are going to learn how we can do that configuration. So always that guy will be passive. So this is only the configuration. Just we need to go in the R1 and write router BGP1, then neighbor, give the neighbor IP and write transport connection mode passive. And the neighbor go there and we will configure neighbor and the IP address, neighbor IP and transport connection mode active. So always, even if you reset, you do anything, this guy will become as a passive, this guy will become as a active. So this way generally we use. So let's do this lab so you will have more idea. So what I will do here, we will use the same scenario. Okay, and here no need for the loopback, so I will remove the loopback. And this one we can use. Okay, so what we are doing here, we are using the R1 and we are using the R2, and here we are going to configure the BGP, and after that we are going to check what is active and what is passive. Okay, so let me remove this. If I delete this, yeah, so let me start the router and then I will take the console of the R1. And then I will take the console of R2. So now this is a R1, this is a R2, and we will take the notepad and we can write here, we can give name as a like BGP active passive, BGP because in interview they will ask you what is BGP active, what is BGP passive. Okay, so we need to remember this one. I will write here R1 configuration. So what is R1 configuration? Simple, just we will assign IP first of all. So let me check here what is IP. I will write enable config t host name R1, and if we see interface fast Ethernet 0x0, I will write here IP address 192.168.12.1 255.255.255.0, and we will write no shut here. Okay, and then we need to write the BGP configuration. If you want, I will divide this notepad and I will copy paste from here to here for the R2 also, and we will modify here. This is R2 and this is R2, and here this is 2. Okay, now we can write the BGP configuration. So BGP configuration, how we will write? We will write router BGP AS number. Our AS is 1. This is our AS. After that we need to write the neighbor, and then neighbor IP 192.168.12.2. Our neighbor IP is this one, 12.2. This is my neighbor. And remote dash AS, and what is the neighbor AS? Neighbor is this one and his AS is 2. So I write this one. Okay, so this one configuration I will copy. This is the configuration for the R1. I will copy and paste in the R2, and we will modify here. So now if you see here, this is a R2. I am doing the configuration for R2. So router BGP, our AS number, our AS is 2. So this is our AS2. I wrote this, and this guy is our neighbor. What is his IP? 192.168.12.1. Okay, 12.1. So I will go here 12.1. Remote AS is this guy, AS is 1. So I will make this as a 1. Okay, so this way we configure the BGP. Now I can copy this, put in the R1. Everything is good. Now I will copy this from here to here. I will paste in the R2. Okay, now I am inside the R2. I will paste in the R2. Let me copy again. Maybe I did not copy correctly. Okay, so now let me paste. So I paste here. We need to wait for some time, then we will have the neighborship, then we can check. Okay, so I am in the R1. I can write here show BGP, show IP BGP, show IP BGP. Okay, so it will take time, we need to wait. I can write show IP root BGP, still show IP BGP neighbor, show IP BGP neighbor. So if you see, this is our neighbor and neighbor AS is this one. So now we can check. Now we will get show IP BGP. Show IP BGP neighbor we are getting, or here information we are getting. So now we can run that command to check. Let me write here. What command we will write? We will write show IP BGP neighbor. If you see here, we are getting here the local host and the origin host. When we write here, if you see this is the command. Show IP, this one, show IP BGP neighbor. When we write this one, here we are getting the information. But if we want to check only this one, so how we will write? We will write show IP BGP neighbor, then pipe symbol, and then include and the host. So whatever is having the host, they will show us that command. If you see here, what I am getting here, I am getting here the 192.168.12.1 is the local port I am getting here, and this the second router I am getting the 179. Actually we should get the opposite, because this guy is having the low router ID. But maybe here first we configure this, second we configure this. Let me check here what it is showing. Show IP BGP neighbor pipe include host. Okay, and if you see here, this guy, the R2 become the local, and he's getting the port number 179. And if you see, R1 become the origin, and he get this random port. But generally this guy will become, whoever is having the low router ID, that guy is going to become as a passive. If you see, let me check here. By default, the neighbor with the lower BGP router ID will establish the connection. And here I have the connectivity. If you see, this is R1 and R2, and this guy is having the 12.1. and if we see here, that guy become as a local port, that is 179 in the R1 if we check. But here we have the opposite, something wrong here, maybe with the router image. Anyhow, what we are saying, one guy will become as a 179, other guy is going to become as a some random port number. And when we clear here, when we reset the BGP, this 192.168.12.2 is going to get the random port, and this IP before who is having the random port is going to get the 179. So let's do that one. Clear IP BGP star. So I will reset here, I will reset the BGP here, so it will reset, and after that I can check here, still it is not changed, and I will reset here also. Let me check here, clear IP BGP star, and we need to wait some time. They will reset, and again they will have the neighborship. So now he is having the up neighborship. So now let me check here. If you see, now it is changed. Okay, now it is changed. Before, if you see, 192.168.12.1 is having the random port here, but now if you see 192.168 changed to change to the port from random to 179. And here if we see, if I write here show IP neighbor, show IP BGP neighbor pipe include host, what I am getting here, if I write here, the 192.168.12.1 is getting the 179 port number, and the R2, this is the R2 is getting the random port number. Here also same thing, R2, this is R2 getting the random port number. Again, if I clear the BGP, this guy will get the R1 is going to get the random port number, R2 is going to get the 179 port number. Now if example I want to put the R1 always will be this number only, so how I can do, I have some configuration I will do, but before that one let me clear again. I will write clear IP BGP star. Okay, I clear now, and I will wait for some time. And here also we are going to clear. Let me check here what output we are getting. If you see, this is the R1 is having the port number 179, but when we clear, we have the R1, but the port number changed from 179 to 2589. So now what we will do, we will do some configuration. So always, even if we reset the BGP, we will have the same port number 179, it will not change. Okay, and if you see here what we are getting here, if you see, R2 is having this port number 179. Okay, R2 is getting this 179 port number, and if R1 also saying that R2 is having the 179 port number. But imagine your manager told R1 should get the port number 179. So how we can do the configuration? Configuration will be very simple. We will write here, let me do here in the R1, I will write, first I need to go in the global configuration mode, then I will write router BGP and BGP1, we are doing for BGP1. Then I will write neighbor, and after that I will write what is my neighbor ID, 192.168.12.2, right? And after that we will write transport connection connection mode passive. If you press question mark, you have the active or passive. If you make this passive, always this guy is going to become the 179. He is going to get the port number 179. So here I will do same thing. I will go in the global configuration mode. I will write here router BGP 2, and then after that we will write here neighbor. What is my neighbor? 192.168.12.1, and then we will write transport connection mode. This should be active. One side we will make passive and here should be active, and press enter. And now if you do reset or anything, you will have the, what we can say, you will have R1 will be going to, R1 is going to get the port number 179. So let me check here what we are getting. Include host. So if you see, R1 is getting, now we are getting the R2, but now we will reset. After that we are going to see, this is the this is the old thing. When we do the reset, these changes will affect. Okay, so I will do the reset, clear IP BGP star. So now we will reset. So R1 is going to get that port number. After that again we will reset, and we will see R1 only having that port number. Again if we reset, R1 only having that port number. So now if you see, R1 is having this port number. Okay, R1 is having this port number. Now I will reset. I will write clear IP BGP. Okay, again I reset. Now R2 should get that port number, but as per our configuration, R2 will not get that port number. Only R1 is going to get that one. If you see, this is the R1, and R1 is having that port number. I will do again reset. Okay, let me reset. Again I reset and wait for some time, and again we will check. We will get only 179 will get to the R1 only. If you see, this 179 is always to this IP only. This IP belongs to R1. Okay, here if we want to check, here also we can do. First I will clear here, clear IP BGP star. We use this command. If we want to reset the BGP, we will write clear IP BGP star. Okay, but don't run this command in the production network. Your link go down, you will have the connectivity issue for some time. Okay, if you are running this command, be careful, because some guys are terminated because of this command. They run in the production network without taking the approval, so the network go down for 3 to 4 minutes. So this will be very critical command. Don't run in the production network. Clear IP BGP star. Okay, this one you do when you are what we can say, when you have the downtime. But without star also, if we write, let me check here. Here we need to define the value, which peer we need to reset. But generally in the production network we will use this one, but we need to get the downtime. Take the approval from the management. When they give the downtime, then run this one. Okay, so now let's check here. I will write show IP BGP neighbor, and I will write include pipe include host. If I see R1, okay, this is the port number 179 is getting to R1. This is the R1 IP. Now again I will reset. Let me reset again. We will reset and we will wait for some time, and again we will do this one. Let me, still they don't have the connectivity. We will wait for some time and then we will check. If you see, R1 is getting this port number. Okay, here also R1 is getting port number. Before, when we reset R1, if R1 is getting 179, and when we reset it is going to R2. Again when we reset it is going to R1, but after configuration we are not getting that one. Okay, so what is the configuration we done? Let me write here the configuration is simple only. Let me write here, we will write router BGP and we will write the AS number. After that we will write neighbor and then neighbor IP 192.168.12.2 and after that remote dash AS and 2, not the remote dash AS, transport connection mode passive. This command I use. Okay, and same command we will use here, only we will change some configuration. Let me show you. Here this should be 2 and this should be 1 and this should be active. Acitve. Okay, so this is the configuration what we done just now. So after that, same thing I put here in notes so you can revise. This is a manual configuration for active passive. So let me stop this one, then we will have the BGP timer.